Halo's custom games are a blast to play. To this day I still hop on Jump Rope, NASCAR, Cat and Mouse, and Cortana Naked Glitch 18+. I've been waiting here since 2010. Although, while custom games allowing for wacky shenanigans are cool, what would the next step be? Personally, I think it would be modding. With the release of the official Halo modding tools, the accessibility to mod Halo along with the introduction of the Steam Workshop has made modding easier and cooler for everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about some personal favorites and standout mods that you guys should definitely check out. And for Xbox players, I really hope they bring mods to Xbox, and hopefully PlayStation eventually. If you want to check out the mods I talk about in this video, there will be a link in the description to a Steam collection of all the mods. Ignore that my username is IPissInLeeches. I would explain context, but there is quite literally none. Now I could just list off and or grade these mods, but I'm not good at objectivity, and that's boring. So instead, I'm going to steal a book from my friend Sly and use a political chart that lists from vanilla to modded on the Y-axis and Halo-like to non-Halo-like on the X-axis. Now those sound similar, but I can explain by using examples. An example for Halo-like and vanilla would be the Mythic Overhaul Campaign series. This is a mod that basically adds a bunch of new weapons, enemies, and armor abilities / equipment to each of the games. It's pretty self-explanatory, my personal favorite weapon being the double-barrel shotgun, of course. Overall, this mod is perfect for people like me who put 300 hours into one campaign and enjoy a new refreshing experience. For Halo-like and modded, I choose all of the Cursed Halos, Inferno Plus and Gashnor. Both are essentially the equivalent of a YouTube poopified Halo experience. If you've ever wanted to learn Kung Fu from Sergeant Johnson or pull a barrel launcher from an interdimensional marble, then take your meds, dude. These mods are quite the fever dream in every perfect way. For non-Halo-like and vanilla, I thought Casemate would be the perfect mod. When I first saw screenshots of this, I actually thought it was Half-Life, but this is Halo. With new basically everything, weapons, player models, enemies, and environment, singular unfortunately, this mod definitely pushes the mod tool's capabilities, and everything works together even with the few normal Halo stuff that I've found. For non-Halo-like and modded, this is kind of a stretch, but Five Nights with the Flood. This is, as you can probably tell, a recreation of the famous indie game Five Nights at Vova's. This mod is pretty entertaining, and while there are some minor glitches like this pure form getting stuck, or the combat forms just kind of breaking, it is still a well put together mod, and if you're going to try to beat it, my strat is to put this camera on and stare here so you can see both hallways, or just despawn all the flood and walk in circles like an insane person, although if you do get caught off guard, it can actually scare you. Now that we have an idea of what each of the quadrants are, I'm going to pick out some mods and just kind of go through them, and then afterward I'll put them on the chart so you can get a feel for what kind of experience you're getting into when you download it. Mercury Rising is a custom campaign mod based off a custom map named Mercury Falling, released New Year's Day 2012 for Halo Custom Edition. With a bunch of new weapons, enemies, revived cancel enemies like the Sharkoi, and 3 hidden statues that activate a secret that I won't spoil, mostly because I couldn't find them. This mod is very dense. It also has co-op capabilities with a separate model for player 2. It takes place in a snowy mountainous environment, and you raid a facility that's full of Covenant. I won't spoil the rest of the story, but it's pretty cool. There are cutscenes, new vehicles, and this gravity rifle is the coolest thing ever. God, I love this thing. I'm gonna place this mod right here. It has some campaign elements, but it does feel pretty modded while keeping grounded to the classic Halo experience. Operation Takedown is a custom campaign for Halo Custom Edition that was ported to the Master Chief Collection. The second part hasn't released yet, unfortunately, but this part we do have has some really cool things. You play as Spartan Karner, and your goal is to infiltrate a rogue Spartan organization led by a defected Spartan named Lawson. The main attraction for me personally is this beginning area. It basically acts like a little optional story area with cool characters that you can talk to. It also has these Spartans that are missing some pieces on their chessboard. I won't spoil where the pieces are, but finding them around the base gives you a battle rifle at the start of the mission. I really like this idea because it reminds me of when I first saw the beginning area of Crow's Nest, and my 10-year-old self would just run around and jump around trying to find every marine, little nook and cranny. I think more custom campaigns should have more areas like this. The rest of the mod is pretty standard, with you just invading a Forerunner facility with some Covenant there guarding it. This mod feels pretty vanilla, but also the way the encounters work, as well as some of the environmental elements, make it feel like its own thing. Which is why I'm putting it here. The Ultimate Firefight series turns the classic firefight mode into something that feels like a hybrid between COD Zombies, Battlefield, and Firefight. There are two main modes, those being Sand Trap and Flood. Both have their differences, mainly in who you play as and who your allies can be. In the Sand Trap mode, you play as a human, and yes, there are many different customization options. When you're finished picking your character, you can go to the launch bay, where there are a bunch of weapons lined up. There are way too many weapons to talk about, but there are at least 30 new ones. With new enemies, weapons, vehicles, equipment, revived enemies, ported enemies, and so much more, this mod is what Firefight should have been. In the Flood mode, you play as a brute, and the launch bay is replaced by a banished camp. The map is another multiplayer map, but with some cool Flood architecture. Each mode has their own set of boss fights every 10 rounds, ranging from a banished scarab to the Arbiter to a map-wide Gravemind fight. Every so often there is an optional little side mission that will grant you rewards afterward. For the Sand Trap, it will be a banished Colosseum fight, and for the Flood mode is the library, but fun. There are some wild encounters that can happen, like Banished Gouda with Grunt Goblin versus Flood Juggernaut. The amount of crazy stuff that can happen makes this mod a must-have. I'm placing it here. It feels extremely Halo, while also adding so much content that it could never be a vanilla mode, unfortunately. This mod was originally going to be the example I used for non-Halo modding, but I figured with a campaign with dinosaurs with guns and Halo, it deserved its own section. The Xerographic Tranquility campaign is a set of 4 missions: Battle for Ontario, Desolate December, Paradise Panic, and Secluded Sunset. I have no clue what order these are in, so I'll cover them alphabetically. Battle for Ontario is a short mission that takes you through some pretty basic encounters. Now it says it takes place in Ontario, Canada, and I've never been there, so I will assume this is a 100% accurate depiction. Living dinosaurs and floating shark included. It can break sometimes, but a quick last checkpoint reset can usually fix the problem. There's some pretty funny encounters, like these dinosaurs with turrets and brutes riding them. This mission is pretty standard and a pretty fun time, minus all the invisible walls. Desolate December is a step up. From the get-go, the 30 FPS cutscene with this unique model of an ODST sets a strange precedent, but the rest of this mission is actually really cool. The set of a massive sea battle and a shark just being here is actually really cool, and reminds me of the Gouda and Moda encounters in Halo Reach. It gives some life to the world, and it makes it feel less like a combat simulation. The boats are also well made and very simple to use. I really enjoyed this mission. Oh, also this gun is broken as hell. It is an automatic precision weapon with like 30 something mag size. If you know, you know. Paradise Panic introduces the weapon with the worst melee ever. It doesn't do any damage. This is a beach-themed mission, and there are some new encounters. The most notable encounter is probably the T-Rex fight, although it doesn't have a ragdoll, so it just kinda rolls. The ending of the mission basically requires you to destroy this banished lich, and I found that you can get on top of it and shoot everyone inside to end the mission. Nothing too crazy in this one, but it's still fun. Secluded Sunset is pretty unique. You basically infiltrate a banished base at the end of a river, and the first section is riding a boat and sniping some banished from it. It would be really sick if you could scope while riding it. The main combat area has segments where you team up with dinosaurs to fight banished dinosaurs, and this part was really fun. Even if it was hard to see anything at times, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this. The ending has a climactic boss fight that, as per usual with Halo boss fights, it's kinda underwhelming. But regardless, this nighttime sneaky stealth river environment has quite a fun atmosphere and feel to it. This series of missions is going to go right here. It doesn't really feel like Halo, especially in the mission design, and the dinosaurs definitely help in that argument. Let's take a quick intermission to look at some clips that I got when testing Five Nights with the Flood in co-op with my friend Disco. One quirk we notice is that you respawn instantly as long as there isn't any flood nearby. You also respawn relative to the other player. It will almost guarantee that you respawn in this direction, and because leaving the room kills you, if you get one player to stand near the death barrier and the other player dies, they will continuously die and respawn rapidly. This is insane, and somehow not the end of it. The bandana skull allows you to have nades while playing this mod. One quirk is that you will drop nades when you die. Drop nades can be exploded by other nades. The easiest way to describe what happens when combining all of these things is to show you. Slight epilepsy warning.
Wait, if I throw a grenade right here, die?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this isn't intended, but it's really funny, so please keep this in. Also, another glitch is that running out of power causes all the flood to despawn, so that should probably be patched. Alpha Moon is a cut mission from Halo 2, repurposed and finished by a small team of modders. You play as the Arbiter, and you chase the heretic through a landscape of debris on the moon basis. It was the original version of what came to be the Oracle, and I can kinda see why it was switched. Nothing really interesting happens story-wise, you just kinda go from A to B and kill the Covenant. You do get to destroy some AA guns, which is pretty cool. The final cutscene is also not completely finished, but I do like the illustrations. While this mission was explainably cut, it's still really cool to see these cut things be playable. Another great example of this is the Halo 2 E3 demo that was made playable a while back. I'll put these mods right here as they are quite literally missions made by Bungie. It doesn't get more vanilla and Halo-like than that. Mombasa Mayhem is a custom campaign that takes place in the city of New Mombasa, which is the new version of New Mombasa. This will eventually have 8 levels that aren't out yet, but from what I've played, this campaign is very promising. It has some amazing voice acting from our good friend Microsoft Sam, and a multi-layered map design that reminds me of the original Dooms 1 and 2, in a good way. If you ever get lost playing this, just go to where the enemies are. Overall, a solid mod, and I enjoyed it a lot. Also, the environments fit very well together despite being different themed areas. This parking garage, by the way, is so sick. This section is super unique and interesting, and it makes it feel like it's taking place in a real city. I'll place it right here, mostly due to how the levels feel like Doom with the gameplay and enemies of Halo. Lemuria is another custom campaign that was ported to MCC, although this one was also rebalanced and there was new features added, like a usable fuel rod gun, flamethrower, energy sword, and sentinel beam. This campaign has 4 missions, and each one is about 20 minutes in length. I won't go through specifics, but the first couple missions feel like a super upgraded version of the mission Halo from CE. The story takes place on the planet Lumoria, which is a forerunner planet that humanity discovered, and the Covenant would soon invade. The landscapes in this mod are phenomenal, especially the last area in the whole campaign being this massive arena with Covenant versus Sentinels versus you. This area is jaw-dropping. Although there were so many things going on that sometimes particles do not render, leading to weird visual glitches, but outside of that and some weird delays between waves of enemies leading to me getting confused, this was a very fun couple of hours. I'll put this mod right here. It feels like if one of the books was given a set of campaign missions. Operation Solar Flare is a custom campaign mission that sees you as the leader of a Spartan 3 commando team. Finally playing with the SPI armor makes me so happy. There are a surprising amount of new weapons like the SMG, new rocket launcher, and the anti-material rifle. Guess which one I used. There are also some new enemy types as well as old ones being modified, like the White Elites dropping an active camo or overshield on death, depending upon what they had. The way it's structured and the way the encounters are staged reminds me of the escape sequences in Half-Life Combat Evolved, and the outdoor segments remind me of the level Sand Traps in Half-Life 2. It's very fun, and the entire mission takes place over a whole day, with it ending at night. To be honest, this area here was not the greatest. It gave me a new vehicle, the Kangaroo, which was awesome, but there are a lot of fuel rod grunts pretty much everywhere, and it's hard to track them in the darkness. This leads to my frustrating death from an enemy I couldn't see. The way I would fix this is to make the fuel rod grunts' weapons have a green light on them, making them visible at night pretty easily. Overall, this was my only criticism, and the rest was extremely fun. I would place it right here. It feels more grounded and vanilla, while the level design, structures, and encounters feel a little more like Half-Life than Halo, in a good way. Halo Reach Randomizer is as wacky as it is fun. It randomizes everything from starting weapons to vehicles to enemies. I played through Tip of the Spear and Pillar of Autumn. There were some things that were added as well, like a usable George minigun that gives you a speed boost. Some of the more wacky encounters are mostly due to the Gouda. In fact, on Pillar of Autumn there can be a Banshee spotted that has a Gouda pilot, and same for ghosts and the like. Around every corner is a Gouda fighting a pair of hunters, a weaponless brute, and an elite using something like a shotgun or Spartan laser. But they don't hold the Spartan laser's trigger down, so it's a glorified laser pointer to them. This mod is mostly just for shits and giggles, but I think playing through this with some friends is always a good time. I'll place this right here. I don't think I have to explain this. Combat Revolved is a campaign overhaul for CE that adds in a lot of new content, from new flood forms, new weapons, more lore-accurate cutscenes, to a Minecraft snowman. This map has a lot of secrets hidden around. It'll have you exploring every hallway in the hope of finding a funny weapon at the end. Even areas that you would never think about might be something that could hide a secret weapon or enemy. It is a thoroughly enjoyable experience, and I actually enjoyed playing the library. I know. While there are some slight bugs like being able to use the turrets from spirits as weapons, especially the ones inside the Truth and Reconciliation that don't move, they spawn 2 of them for some reason. This Wraith on AOTCR also spawns inside a rock, and some enemies will just glitch into walls. Regardless, it is a very fun experience that brings in some of the extended lore into the main games. If you are someone who enjoys the books, this will be something that you will want to play. When you find a secret weapon, there will usually be a sleeping grunt that will not be able to be woken up, although I would not recommend shooting him. I'll place this mod right here. It is a relatively vanilla mod with some fun Easter eggs hidden throughout. Lord Hoodboy's Gold Rush is a firefight mod for Halo 3. It takes place on sand traps and inside this little arena. I'd recommend running from this thing that Lord Hoodboy throws at you. It is a relatively simple firefight mod, except the titular character Lord Hoodboy will occasionally dig up gold variants of weapons. The ones that you want to look out for are the gold sniper SMG, the gold spiker, and the gold shovel launcher that shoots those mines that are placed around the edges of the map. This mod gets chaotic fast, with constant streams of custom enemies with custom weapons and allies. That paired with a tiny arena is just an absolute pigsty of explosions, knockback, the occasional shove from Lord Hoodboy. With a couple of friends, this is a blast to play, and even solo, it's still wild. There are occasional bullshit deaths, but I can never take this seriously, and overall it's just fun. I'll place this right here. It feels more Halo than not Halo, but the enemies and weapons just crank the absurdity to 1,000. Now this one seems kind of out of place, but I genuinely have a few hours on this map. There was a good week or so where me and a couple friends would hop on this map for an hour-ish every night and just hang out and talk. While this map is pretty fun alone, with a couple of friends in the pushing mechanic, this map becomes one of the greatest. Of course, I'm a pro Halo 3 Wipeout player, and I only got slightly nervous when beating this map. Overall, it is very fun to mess around with friends on this map, and time can fly by pretty fast when enjoying it. I'll place it right here. It is quite literally a parkour course, and the funny shove makes it a lot more wacky and enjoyable. If you're familiar with Kaizo in games, you can kind of understand what this mod will be. To those that don't know, Kaizo is a fan-made, usually extremely difficult mode of whatever is being modded. Lots of games have them, and Halo is not exempt. The Halo Kaizo is surprisingly fun, and I personally do not enjoy difficulty in video games. I mean, I played half of these mods on easy with unlimited ammo and I still died. But this mod made it difficult in more of a fun way. I played through the Silent Cartographer, and the only description was do not go backwards at the start.
You think I'm an idiot? Bah! Oh. Uh-oh.
Don't do it. I'll place this mod right here because it still feels very Halo, but even the sadists that put Rocket Flood on the library wouldn't do this. Halo New Covenant is a custom campaign that was actually released a while ago. It was originally on Nexus Mods and I found it and played through it. I don't remember much, but I do remember the first mission was kind of repetitive. As of recent though, the mod was repolished for the ODST engine, has new areas, structures, and just got a complete overhaul. And my god, this mod is so cool. The vast open areas, the cool light thingy, the cooler light thingy, the cutscenes, human faces are weird, the plant area, and that was just the first level. The second takes place just after the dawn crashes in a massive desert on a foreign planet. You raid the crash site for weapons and get ambushed by the Covenant. After killing them, you get one of my favorite things in this mod. I don't know what it is about driving a chopper in the desert with massive sand dunes and wreckage, but playing this makes me feel like a badass. You wreck a bunch of Covenant stuff and gain access to a cave. This cave section makes me wonder why there aren't more cave sections in Halo, and I do mean caves that seem more natural. The reveal of this massive underground foreigner facility with the music is just amazing. and the parkour section after it feels pretty cool. I'll try not to spoil the third mission, but just know, this ancient weapon you get kicks ass. Overall, this mod is just awesome and does everything that I love in a game. Multiple different massive arenas, some of which would make sense to exist in a spaceship, and the desert ride is just fun. My only criticism is that this mod is hard. On Heroic, you have less health than Halo 2 Legendary, or at least it feels like that. A carbine will kill you from full shields in 5 shots. For right now, on easy and normal, this mod is perfect, except for the AI voice of Lord Hood and the writing is kinda strange. I'll place it right here. It does have a slightly modded feel to it in the best way, but it still feels like an actual campaign set of missions that lead into one another. Well, that was a long one. Here's the final graph so you can see which ones you would like to download. These mods are just the surface, and these are only the ones that have come out in the 2.5 years since the mod tools were released. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.